Welcome back to the channel, Knowledge Before Sleep. My dear friend, let the weariness of the long day drift away with every gentle breath. Now, in this quiet space, I invite you to join me on a journey through space and time, to a distant future that human intellect has only dared to touch in dreams. We won't be talking about what happens tomorrow, or even next year. Together, we will travel to a milestone 5 billion years from now to witness the story of the great father of our system, the Sunday. Don't worry. This story isn't just about an ending. It is a testament to the enduring power of life and consciousness. Lie down comfortably, close your eyes, and let my voice guide you into the infinite realm of the vast universe. Have you ever wondered why we tremble before the beauty of a starry sky? It is because, deep down, we realize we are facing something far beyond our understanding and our fleeting existence. There are things the human mind simply cannot fully process, not because we lack intelligence, but because they lie outside every practical experience we've ever had. They exist on timescales so vast that we lack the conceptual framework to truly grasp their meaning. The death of the sun is one of those things. To each of us, the sun seems like an eternal entity. It has been there every morning of your life, every morning of your parents' and grandparents' lives, and for every human ancestor who ever walked this planet. It has witnessed the entire history of life on Earth, from the first microbes in primordial oceans to the giant dinosaurs that ruled for millions of years. From the first primates stepping down from the trees to the great civilizations that built massive pyramids and cathedrals, the sun has always been there, unchanging. Believing it will be there forever is understandable, almost instinctual. But the truth is, it won't be eternal. Someday, in a future so distant that numbers almost lose their meaning, our sun will stop shining. It won't disappear suddenly or create a terrifying explosion like in sci-fi movies. Instead, it will change slowly, gradually transforming into something completely different, something no longer capable of nurturing life as it has for billions of years. Tonight, I want to invite you to consider a question that sounds strange, perhaps even impossible. What would happen if humanity still existed when that moment arrives? Of course, we aren't talking about humanity as we know it today. That would be absurd. We are speaking of billions of years in the future. Anything existing then, if anything does exist, would be so different from us that perhaps we shouldn't call them human in the usual sense. But if some part of us remains, if our evolutionary line continues in some form, what would those distant, unrecognizable descendants experience when the sun's last light fades? It is a question tinged with sadness, but in a way, it holds profound hope, because it implies survival, a persistence through times that challenge all imagination. It implies that something of us, of what we are and what we have been, has successfully crossed the deepest abyss of time we can conceive. To begin this exploration, we first need to understand what actually happens to our star. The idea of the sun simply turning off like a light bulb is too simple and too fast compared to reality. The reality is slower, more complex, and in a sense, more tragic. You know, our sun is currently about 4.6 billion years old. It is a star in its middle age. It's strange to think about that, because we usually view the sun as immutable, but it has a lifespan, a life cycle with a beginning, a middle, and an end. For the past 4,600,000,000 years, the sun has tirelessly performed a magnificent task, fusing hydrogen atoms into helium within its core. This process releases a massive amount of energy, the very source of light and heat that creates life on Earth. Can you imagine? Every single second, the sun converts about 600 million tons of hydrogen into helium. That is a number so huge, it's impossible to comprehend. And it has done this continuously, without pause, for over 4 billion years. But the hydrogen in the sun's core is not infinite. It is depleting, slowly but surely and irreversibly. In about 5 billion years, the hydrogen in the core will be completely exhausted, and when that happens, a dramatic scenario will begin, completely changing the face of the solar system. When there is no longer fusion, creating outward pressure to counteract gravity, the sun's core will begin to collapse. It will shrink in on itself, and that contraction will generate temperatures even higher than before. The heat will be so intense that it ignites a shell of hydrogen around the depleted core. This new energy source will cause the sun to expand terrifically. It will become what astronomers call a red giant. Try to picture that scene in your mind. The sun's outer layers will swell, expanding beyond the orbit of Mercury, the tiny, parched planet closest to the sun. Then it will continue to swallow Venus, with its toxic clouds and hellishly hot surface, and possibly it will reach the very orbit of our Earth. The sun we see now is just a small disk in the sky, something you can block with a finger held at arm's length. But then, it will dominate the entire horizon, a glowing red monster, thousands of times larger than it is now, ruling half the sky. That image is both terrifying and strangely magnificent. During this red giant phase, a process lasting about 1 billion years, the sun will shine with astonishing brilliance, hundreds of times brighter than it is now. If you could stand at a safe distance to watch without evaporating instantly, it would be the most impressive sight in the universe. A swollen sun, beating slow rhythms and shedding massive layers of gas into space. However, its surface temperature will be lower than it is today. Instead of about 5,500 degrees Celsius like now, the red giant's surface will be only about 3,000 degrees. Instead of the familiar white-yellow light, it will glow a deep red, almost orange, like a dying coal burning in the vast darkness of space. That is the beginning of the end, a new chapter in the universe's diary that we have only just begun to open. Before we go deeper into what humanity might do to cope with this giant, let these thoughts settle. Feel the grandeur of time and our own small yet resilient existence. Chapter 1 closes here, opening a panoramic view of the inevitable future of our mother star. We have learned about the physical changes of the sun, but what of Earth's fate and humanity's first steps in the race against time? The answers will gradually emerge in the next chapters of this journey. Now, take a deep breath, relax your entire body, and prepare yourself as we step together into the next chapter of this great story. In the quiet space of tonight, let us contemplate the reality of the mother star, where all sources of life begin. To understand the terrible upheavals of the future, we must first cherish the great stillness the sun offers us right now. Our sun is currently about 4,600 million years old. On the cosmic scale, this is a star in its most brilliant middle age. It is no longer a young, volatile sphere, nor is it a tired old man fading away. It is in a state of perfect balance, a phase scientists call the main sequence, where it shines steadily and enduringly. Imagine the sun as a giant golden heart, lying at the center of our system. That heart does not beat with a biological rhythm, but with intense nuclear reactions occurring deep within its core. There, under extreme pressure and heat, hydrogen atoms are constantly fusing to form helium. This is a miraculous process that releases vast energy, the energy that has warmed the Earth and nurtured every seed of life since the very beginning. With every single second that passes, a moment just long enough for you to take a gentle breath, the sun converts about 600 million tons of hydrogen into helium. That is a figure so immense that our imagination can hardly encompass it all. And you know, our star has performed this great task persistently, without resting for a single moment over the past 4 billion years. This stability is the foundation for everything we have, from the deep green forests and the vast oceans to your peaceful breaths right now. Yet, nestled within this tranquility lies a truth we often overlook. The sun is not eternal. It has a lifespan, a clear life cycle with a beginning, a middle, and an inevitable end. The amount of hydrogen in its core, though vast, is still a finite amount. It is slowly running out over time, quietly and irreversibly. With each passing day, the sun consumes a portion of its precious fuel to keep shining for us. Right now, our star is in a state of hydrostatic equilibrium. This means a silent tug-of-war is taking place. The immense force of gravity is always trying to crush the entire sphere inward, while the pressure from nuclear reactions pushes back outward. These two opposing forces keep the sun round and stable, creating a gentle environment for the planets orbiting it. Thanks to this balance, we have warm, sunny days, lush harvests, and a clear blue sky every time we wake up. For us, the sun has long transcended the meaning of a mere astronomical entity. Throughout thousands of years of history, it has been regarded as a symbol of the sacred and the ultimate source of life. The ancient Egyptians worshipped the sun god Ra as the supreme deity. The Incas in South America built magnificent temples like Machu Picchu to welcome the first rays of the winter solstice. Almost every culture in the world views the sun as a life-giver, a divine presence worthy of reverence. Even in today's scientific age, when we know the sun is just one of billions of stars in the Milky Way, we still feel a deep connection to it. Can you feel the warmth on your face on a beautiful sunny day? That isn't just physical heat. It's a sense of comfort, a gentle reminder that the world is still turning as it should. The dawn chases away the darkness, awakening the vibrant colors of everything around us. The sunset brings a touch of nostalgic melancholy as the day fades. These experiences have seeped deep into the human soul, into our poetry, music, and art. We are truly children of the Sunday. Every atom in your body, from the carbon in your cells to the calcium in your bones or the iron in your blood, originated from the nuclear forges of stars. Our lineage is directly linked to this parent star. Our existence owes this star a debt that can never be repaid. Because of this, the thought that one day the sun will be no more brings a vague sadness, a sense of loss on a cosmic scale. But let's set aside those worries about the distant future. Tonight, as you lie here, the sun is still quietly shining on the other side of the earth, maintaining its steady rhythm to prepare for a new dawn. It remains a loyal guardian, the beacon of our system. Its current stability is a priceless gift that we sometimes forget to be grateful for. Chapter 2 closes with the image of a sun at the peak of its splendor and stillness. We have understood the heart beating its steady rhythm to nurture life. However, like every great story, this peaceful phase will eventually see its first shifts. In the next chapter, we will travel to a milestone 1 billion years from now to see how the very first signs of fracture begin to appear on our beloved blue planet. Time, in the eternal flow of the universe, never stands still. In the previous chapter, we admired the quiet beauty and authority of the sun in its brilliant middle age. But even within that peace, silent changes are unfolding, bit by bit, like tiny hairline cracks in a precious jade statue that the naked eye cannot see. Tonight, we will step through the window of time to reach a milestone 1 billion years in the future, where the first signs of fracture begin to alter the face of our beloved blue planet. 1 billion years is a colossal number, far beyond the scope of human history. To help you visualize it, if the entire history of Earth were compressed into a single day, then 1 billion years would equal more than 5 hours. During that long stretch of time, our sun does not stand still. Even while in the most stable phase of its life, it is slowly becoming brighter. According to scientific calculations, every billion years, the sun's brightness increases by about 10%. 10% may sound like a small number, but in the delicate balance of Earth's ecosystem, it is the spark that ignites terrible changes. Imagine The sky of 1 billion years from now will no longer wear the cool blue it does today. The sunlight then will be harsher, carrying a heat energy far greater than necessary. This rise in temperature begins to attack the weakest but most crucial link of life: water. As the sun radiates more heat, the oceans, which cover about 70% of the planet's surface and are the cradle of all life, begin to react. Seawater will evaporate faster than ever before. Water vapor rises, thickening the atmospheric blanket. And here, a harsh law of physics begins to operate. Water vapor is actually a potent greenhouse gas. It traps heat from the sun, preventing it from escaping back into space, making the Earth's surface even hotter. This is the beginning of an unstoppable feedback loop. Rising temperatures cause more water to evaporate. More water vapor causes temperatures to rise even further. Scientists call this phenomenon the runaway greenhouse effect. It is like sitting in a sealed room where someone keeps turning up the heater while every door is locked tight. In about 1 billion to 1.5 billion years, Earth will gradually transform itself into a painful replica of Venus, our sister planet that is currently a scorching hell. Rain, which once brought life and coolness, will become rare, and when it falls, it may evaporate instantly before it can touch the parched ground. Great rivers and blue lakes that were once nature's pride will shrink, revealing cracked riverbeds and barren stones. This shift brings a death sentence to the ecosystem we hold dear. The first living things to suffer this catastrophe are the plants. Greenery needs carbon dioxide for photosynthesis, but when temperatures rise too high, the chemical processes inside the leaves will stagnate. Vast tropical forests will wither, turning into dry, burnt fields. As plants die off, the planet's oxygen supply also begins to plummet, and the food source for animals vanishes along with it. Picture a world that is eerily silent. There is no longer the sound of birds singing in the canopy, no longer the rustling of wind blowing through green, grassy fields. Instead, there is only the hiss of hot winds, sweeping across vast deserts that are gradually swallowing entire continents. Ecosystems will collapse like falling dominoes. Plants disappear, herbivores go extinct, and finally, the predators are left with no way to survive. By the end of this billion-year period, Earth will become a desolate planet, a giant desert under a sun so bright it hurts the eyes. The oceans, once teeming with life, vibrant coral reefs, and colorful schools of fish, will be reduced to white salt pans, coldly reflecting sunlight back into space. The atmosphere will become thick with steam and hot gases, exerting a heavy, crushing pressure on the dry, rocky surface. If humanity, or distant descendants carrying our bloodline, still exist at that time, they will no longer be able to call Earth home in the way we do now. Surviving on the surface of the blue planet will have become biologically impossible. Every civilization, every city, every cultural heritage we have painstakingly built will face the risk of being completely wiped out by the scorching heat of the Father Sunday. That is a scenario tinged with sadness and regret. The only planet in the universe we know for certain holds life is slowly losing its ability to shelter its children. But in this darkest moment, the survival instinct and extraordinary wisdom of life will reveal themselves more powerfully than ever. We will not surrender to fate. Chapter 3 closes with the image of Earth standing at the threshold of a great and painful transformation. The cracks have appeared, and the old house is no longer safe. But do not worry too much, for an end here is often the beginning of a journey elsewhere. As the earth grows hotter, the eyes of those leading the way will no longer look down at the parched ground, but will turn straight up to the vast sky, seeking new havens amidst the ocean of stars. Now, let those images of the scorching desert fade away. Come back to the present reality, where your room is still cool and quiet. The earth outside is still cocooning you in its gentle atmosphere and soothing breezes. Cherish every breath, every drop of fresh water we have today. We have traveled a long way into the future, and now it is time for your mind to rest, preparing for even more wondrous discoveries about humanity's great migration in the chapters to follow. On our journey through time, crossing the threshold of 1 billion to 1.5 billion years from now, Earth will endure the most painful transformation in its history. It is the total disappearance of the ocean's blue, the very symbol and cradle that once nurtured life. Tonight, come listen with me to the sigh of a planet slowly drying out, where the waves that once lapped the shore are now just distant memories, preserved in layers of parched, dry rock. This change isn't caused by some sudden accident, but is the inevitable result of the sun's increasing brightness. Every billion years, our mother star grows about 10% more luminous. 10%, a number that sounds modest, yet it is enough to shatter the fragile balance of our global climate. The sunlight now is no longer a warm caress, but becomes arrows of heat, scorching everything they touch. As Earth's surface temperature rises, a terrifying physical phenomenon begins to unfold: the runaway greenhouse effect. Imagine the vast oceans, holding millions of billions of cubic meters of water, beginning to heat up like a giant pot on a stove. Seawater evaporates at a dizzying speed, and instead of condensing into rain-bearing clouds, water vapor floods the atmosphere. Since water vapor is an incredibly potent greenhouse gas, it creates a massive heat trap, making it impossible for Earth to release its heat back into space. The temperature climbs steadily to hundreds of degrees Celsius. At this heat, the oceans don't just evaporate, they begin to boil. The deep blue seas where fish once swam, the vibrant coral reefs, are now just columns of steam rising into a murky sky. All the water on the planet, which once covered 70% of the surface, gradually transforms entirely into atmospheric vapor. The loss of liquid water brings the total collapse of every ecosystem. Plants, the most resilient of organisms, it will be the first to fall. In the scorching atmosphere, they can no longer perform photosynthesis to create oxygen and organic matter. The deep green forests, once the lungs of the planet, will wither and turn into scorched wastelands as plants die and food and oxygen run out. Animals from small to large will also face extinction. The food chain is completely severed, leaving behind a world so silent it is suffocating. But the tragedy of the water doesn't end there. As water vapor rises to the highest layers of the atmosphere, it faces another threat from the cosmos: the powerful solar winds. Water molecules are split by ultraviolet light into hydrogen and oxygen atoms. Hydrogen, the lightest element, is blown straight into space by the solar wind, lost forever. Earth slowly loses its ability to regenerate water. Once the hydrogen is gone, the water can never return. Our blue planet will completely change its appearance, becoming a dry, scorching desert. Not unlike Venus today, the vast ocean basins are now just blinding white salt deserts or cracked, rocky wastelands. No more blue clouds, no more falling rain, no more sound of waves, only hot sandstorms blowing through the ruins of a civilization that once shone so brightly. The extreme temperature could even melt the rocky surface itself. The continents we stand on today, the majestic high mountains, might turn into flows of molten mud or glowing red seas of lava under the sun's heat. Every trace of humanity, from massive architectural structures to tiny fragments of memory, will be incinerated or buried under layers of hot ash. If humanity still wishes to exist at this time, we must abandon our mother planet. Staying on Earth is no longer a survival option, but suicide. Either we find a way to migrate to other worlds, farther away, colder but safer, or we will vanish into the void along with the last of the oceans. Chapter 4 closes with a lingering sadness. Over the end of a blue era, we have witnessed how water, the source of life, gradually leaves us to drift into deep space. Earth is now just a scorching, lonely rock beside a father sun who is becoming increasingly ferocious. Yet, amidst that harshness, our hope does not extinguish. Humans are creatures carrying intense curiosity and a fierce desire to survive. When one door closes, we will find others leading to new horizons. Our journey does not end here. In the next chapter, we will explore humanity's first great migration, leaving the scorching Earth to find a new home on the red planet Mars. In the boundless silence of the night, as the weariness of the long day fades away, let us continue our journey through billions of years into the future together. In the previous chapter, we witnessed the heartbreaking scene of Earth's last oceans evaporating into the void. Now, standing before a blue planet turned dry and strange, humanity faces a grim truth. Earth can no longer shelter life. This is no longer a matter of choice, but an absolute command for survival. Either we leave or we dissolve into dust. Imagine the Earth 1 billion years from now. It is no longer the planet of vast forests or winding rivers that we cherish. Under the brutal heat of a sun growing ever brighter, the protective atmosphere has been stripped away by solar winds. The planet's surface is no longer solid ground, but begins to melt, turning into a glowing red ocean of hot lava. Continents that once hosted great civilizations, majestic mountain ranges, and deep valleys are all melting and flowing like waterfalls of fire. In that context, the great human migration begins. This is not a moment of panicked flight, but a process carefully prepared and unfolding over millions of years. Humanity by then, with intelligence vastly evolved after billions of years, will not wait for disaster to strike before acting. We will begin stretching our technological arms into space very early, seeking new harbors in the solar system to take temporary refuge. The first and most obvious destination on that list is Mars. Today, Mars is to us just a frozen, arid desert with a thin atmosphere. But in the distant future, as the sun heats up, Mars will also gradually warm. The ice layers at the red planet's poles will melt, releasing water and carbon dioxide to thicken the atmosphere. There will be a period, perhaps lasting a few 100 million years, when Mars becomes a place with a pleasant climate, with liquid water on the surface and temperatures warm enough for humans to walk without heavy protective suits. That will be the first stopover, a second Earth in our long journey. However, even Mars is only a temporary solution, because the sun will not stop there. It will continue to heat up, continue to expand, and eventually Mars too will share the fate of being scorched like Earth. At this point, the eyes of cosmic travelers must look even further to the icy moons of Jupiter and Saturn. Worlds like Europa or Titan, currently sleeping in the cold, will awaken under the warmth of the new Sunday. Underground oceans beneath Europa's ice will be revealed, and Titan's thick atmosphere will turn warm, creating new promised lands for life. But no matter where we move within the solar system, we are still just fleeing inside our own burning house. To truly survive in the long run, humanity must take the greatest leap of all, leaving the solar system to reach for other stars. Giant spaceships, like mobile cities, will carry the final seeds of Earth across the dark, cosmic abyss. We will head toward neighboring star systems like Alpha Centauri or Proxima Centauri, where new planets await. This parting carries a sadness too deep for words. Earth is not just a planet, it is the cradle, the origin, the beginning of every human story. It is where we learned to walk, to speak, to love, and to look up at the sky, to dream. Leaving is like a child, having to say a final farewell to an elderly, frail mother, even if humanity later spreads across the Milky Way, living under the light of thousands of different suns, and in the depths of our souls. The memory of a blue planet with sparkling oceans and a deep azure sky will forever remain a beautiful and sacred scar. Imagine our descendants, billions of years from now, looking back at ancient records of Earth. To them, Earth may be just a legend, a distant paradise where their ancestors once lived. They will tell each other about a magical world where water flowed freely and the wind blew softly, a place where the sunlight did not scorch, but only comforted. Earth, then, will become a sanctuary in the mind, the holiest place in the history of a species that has now become citizens of the entire galaxy. The resilience of life is truly the most miraculous part of this story. Even if the sun should fade, even if the Earth were to melt away, human consciousness and knowledge would still find a way to carry on. We aren't just creatures of a single planet. We are a part of the cosmos, carrying within us a thirst for understanding and a drive to conquer boundaries. The separation from Earth, while painful, is actually the turning point for humanity to truly mature, so that we no longer depend on a single star, but become the masters of our own destiny amidst the vastness of space. Chapter 5 draws to a close with the image of the final spaceships departing Earth's orbit, leaving behind a planet glowing with molten lava. An old chapter of history has shut, and a new one, vaster and filled with more challenges, is opening up among the stars. We have bid farewell to Mother Earth, but her legacy is us. We will carry the flame of life to illuminate the darkest corners of the universe. In the vast silence of the night, as we've just said goodbye to our mother planet, slowly melting under the sun's heat, our minds begin to turn toward a brilliant red speck in the night sky. That is Mars, our closest neighbor, and humanity's first hope on the journey to find a new home. Tonight, let's step onto this arid land together to witness its miraculous rebirth, driven by the very same heat source that is threatening Earth. Right now, in our time, Mars appears as a frozen desert, desolate, with an atmosphere so thin it's almost non-existent. Giant red dust storms blanket deep valleys and volcanoes that have long since gone quiet. We often dream of terraforming this planet, but with current technology, that remains a monumental challenge. Yet, billions of years in the future, when the sun begins to burn brighter and hotter, nature itself will take over that renovation work for us. Just imagine, as the temperature of the solar system rises, the habitable zone, that sweet spot where liquid water can exist on a planet's surface, will gradually drift further out. Earth, sadly, will fall outside this safety zone, but Mars will begin to enter its golden age. This is a window of opportunity, a precious period lasting hundreds of millions of years that humanity can seize to build a new civilization. Under the increasing heat from the sun, the permafrost at Mars's two poles begins to melt. It's not just water ice. Layers of dry ice made of carbon dioxide also start to sublimate into gas. This escaping carbon dioxide will thicken the red planet's fragile atmosphere, creating a natural greenhouse effect. It is this very effect that will trap heat, causing Mars to warm up rapidly. Water vapor, released from ancient ice layers, will begin to gather into clouds, bringing with them the first rains after billions of years of drought. Take a deep breath and visualize this magnificent scene. Liquid water will start flowing through ancient riverbeds that have been dry for ages, filling giant impact craters to create deep blue lakes amidst the red desert. The Martian sky, originally a pale pink due to dust, will gradually turn a soothing blue as the atmosphere becomes thicker and clearer. The first signs of life, perhaps mosses and algae brought by humans from Earth, will begin to carpet the grey limestone slopes in green. At this point, humans will no longer need bulky protective suits or sealed shelters. We can walk beneath the Martian sky, feel the warm breeze, and listen to the gentle lapping of waves on a new shore. Great cities will rise, with architecture that blends into nature, where humans learn to live in harmony with an ecosystem that is slowly taking shape. Mars will no longer be a dead red planet, but a blue planet brimming with hope, an ideal sanctuary for refugees from Earth. However, amidst the joy of finding a new home, the scientists and residents of Mars will still carry a quiet anxiety, because they understand that the sun's favor toward Mars is only temporary. There are two major reasons why Mars cannot be our final destination. First is the issue of the magnetic field. Unlike Earth, which has a molten metal core spinning constantly to create a magnetic shield against harmful radiation, Mars's core cooled down long ago. This means the red planet has no way to protect its newly formed atmosphere from violent solar winds. Over time, these winds will relentlessly erode and blow away precious water vapor and gases into deep space. Mars is like a bucket with a hole in the bottom. No matter how much we try to fill it, it will continue to leak and eventually run dry. Second, and this is the more terrifying part, is the sun's greed. Our mother star won't stop at just warming Mars up. It will continue to get brighter, hotter, and expand more aggressively. After only a few 100 million years of enjoying this peace, temperatures on Mars will rise to a point where water can no longer exist in liquid form. The newly formed oceans will evaporate again. The atmosphere will become suffocating, and Mars will fall into the same scorching state that Earth did before it. Therefore, life on Mars is essentially a race against time. The generations of humans living here will have to learn to prepare for the next migration from the very moment they settle in. They will have to build colossal spaceships, develop new energy technologies, and search for harbors further out in the solar system. Mars, no matter how brilliant and green it becomes, is just a brief chapter in the epic saga of human survival. But let's not look at that as a failure. Mars will have successfully fulfilled its role as a temporary shelter, giving humanity more time to mature and prepare for steps further afield. It is here that we will learn how to terraform an entire planet, how to create artificial ecosystems, and how to survive without depending entirely on Mother Earth. The precious knowledge and experience gained from Mars will be indispensable baggage for us as we advance toward the icy moons of Jupiter and Saturn in the chapters to follow. Tonight, when you look up at the sky and see that distant red speck, smile and be grateful for it. Mars is not just a dry limestone planet. It is a symbol of hope, a promise that life will continue when darkness begins to engulf the Earth. It is a place where the laughter of children will ring out again, where dreams of the cosmos will be written anew under a different sky. Chapter 6 closes with the image of Mars glowing in the green of new life, but it also brings premonitions of a longer journey ahead. We've had a precious respite, but the flow of time and the transformation of the universe wait for no one. Our gaze must now stretch even further, crossing the asteroid belt to reach the gas giants and their mysterious frozen satellites. In the vast silence of the cosmic night, as our journey moves past those brilliant but brief days on Mars, humanity must once again face a harsh reality. The sun, our mother star that was once the source of life, continues to increase in temperature and brightness. The gentle pink sunlight on Mars turns harsh. The fragile atmosphere we worked so hard to cultivate begins to be blown into space, and the newly formed oceans cannot withstand the rising heat. Now, to keep the flame of life burning, the eyes of cosmic travelers are forced to look further still, beyond the asteroid belt, seeking out the frozen worlds sleeping in the outer reaches of the solar system. The journey from Mars to those outer worlds is a challenging leap. We must traverse the asteroid belt, a region of space filled with millions of fragments of rock and metal, the rubble from the early days of the solar system's formation. But once we cross that barrier, a new horizon opens up with magnificent gas giants and their promising systems of satellites. The most critical destination in this phase is Jupiter, the largest planet in the system, and specifically the icy moons surrounding it. Among Jupiter's satellites, Europa shines like a precious gem amidst the frost. Imagine a world completely covered by a hard shell of ice, tens of kilometers thick. Beneath that ice, completely isolated from the harshness of space and dangerous radiation, lies a vast liquid ocean. Scientists believe this subterranean ocean could be deeper than any ocean on Earth, and might even be nurturing its own seeds of life. As the sun continues to heat up, a miracle will occur on Europa. The increasing heat will begin to melt the eternal ice crust that has existed for billions of years. For the first time in history, Europa's hidden ocean will be exposed to the open sky. The layer of ice that was once a barrier will become an abundant source of liquid water on the surface. This is a new way station, where humanity can build floating cities or habitation modules right beside these precious water sources. Beyond Europa, Jupiter also holds Ganymede in its embrace, the largest moon in our entire solar system. Ganymede, too, conceals a vast ocean beneath its crust of rock and ice, offering yet another sanctuary for our descendants. Settling on these moons brings immense gifts. We have abundant water to sustain life and hydrogen to fuel the engines that drive us forward. Yet, existence here is far from simple. Across such vast distances, the sun is reduced to a mere speck of light, far fainter than the golden glow we once knew on Earth. Every human activity will depend on powerful, artificial sources of energy. Sheltered by the colossal presence of Jupiter, humanity must learn to harmonize with a completely new environment. We will build space stations to harvest hydrogen from Jupiter's thick atmosphere, feeding the fusion reactors that keep us warm. This marks the phase where humans truly become citizens of the outer solar system, finally letting go of the rocky inner planets of our past. We learn to master the flow of atomic energy to craft artificial light and warmth, mimicking the gifts the sun once gave freely to our ancestors back on Earth. Yet, like a melancholic refrain echoing through time, safety on Jupiter's moons is only fleeting. The sun relentlessly marches toward its red giant phase, a process that cannot be undone, no matter how warm or welcoming Europa or Ganymede become over the next few 100 million years. The searing heat of the expanding sun will eventually reach them. Europa's newly exposed oceans will eventually steam away into the void, leaving behind worlds that are parched, barren, and silent. Humanity's 10,000-mile journey feels like an endless race against light and heat. We venture further out to find life, yet the very energy that sustains life is slowly scorching every place we set foot. But with every step, our resilience and wisdom are tempered like steel. From depending entirely on Earth's nature to terraforming Mars, and now mastering nuclear energy to survive among frozen worlds, we have learned to adapt. As Chapter 7 comes to a close, humanity has established strong footholds on Jupiter's moons. We stand amidst a fantastical realm where giant planets rule the sky and icy worlds are slowly awakening. But ahead lie even more distant horizons. Saturn and its mysterious moon, Titan, are waiting. That is where we will find a thick atmosphere and lakes of liquid methane. promising a breathtaking new chapter in our epic saga of survival. In the profound silence of this night, as we drift past Jupiter's icy moons, our quest for life reaches even deeper into the outer solar system. Before us lies one of the most strange and captivating celestial bodies the universe has ever sculpted. Titan, Saturn's largest moon. Tonight, let us descend together onto this misty world, witnessing how it transforms from a frozen wasteland into a new paradise for our children. Imagine a world bathed in a hazy orange glow, where the atmosphere is so thick it veils the stars. Titan is unique, the only moon in the solar system with a substantial atmosphere, denser even than Earth's. In our current time, it is a realm of deep cold, with rivers and lakes not made of water, but of liquid methane. Methane rains fall upon the icy bedrock, creating a scene that is both hauntingly familiar and utterly alien, like a brilliant photographic negative of Earth. But as the river of time carries us billions of years forward, and the sun grows fiercer in its evolution, Titan will undergo a spectacular metamorphosis. Under the rising heat, the eternal water ice crust on Titan's surface will begin to melt. The liquid methane lakes will evaporate, giving way to vast oceans of water beneath a nitrogen-rich sky. This is the moment Titan awakens, becoming the most hospitable cradle for life in the entire outer solar system. Take a deep breath and picture life on Titan in that distant future. With its thick atmosphere, humans won't need the heavy, pressurized suits used on Mars or the Moon. We could walk the surface with just a simple oxygen mask and warm clothes. With low gravity and dense air, flight becomes effortless. You could simply strap wings to your arms and soar like a bird through the deep blue skies of this new world. Titan will then possess every ingredient for a lasting civilization: liquid water to drink and produce hydrogen, abundant nitrogen to breathe, and solid ground for building great cities. Habitats will rise along the shores of liquid water, where people can look up to see the colossal Saturn and its radiant rings dominating the sky. It will be a sight too majestic for words, a reminder of the universe's magic, even as the end draws near. Life on Titan will be a glorious chapter in human history. Here, we will weave a new society where technology and nature blend seamlessly. We will learn to harvest energy from the wind and the powerful tides pulled by Saturn's gravity. Titan is not just a stopover. It could become humanity's capital for millions of years, a final fortress before we are forced to leave the solar system forever. However, even this paradise bears the mark of impermanence found in all things. The sun continues to expand, its heat eventually crossing Saturn's threshold. Titan's oceans will boil away, just like those of Earth and Mars before them. The warmth we enjoy is but a fleeting moment in the death throes of our mother star. Chapter 8 ends with the image of Titan, shining like a precious gem in the vast darkness, a testament to life's resilience in finding a way even in the harshest conditions. We have found a new home, a place to breathe and dream once more. But in the quiet of a Titan night, the scientists and thinkers of the future will understand that they are living on borrowed time. Tonight, as you lie safe in Earth's embrace, let your mind drift toward the orange clouds of Titan. Feel the lightness of low gravity and the eternal beauty of Saturn's rings in your imagination. The upheavals of billions of years are just stories to help you sleep deeper. You are at peace, and life continues its miraculous rhythm with every tick of time. In the infinite silence of the cosmos, time is a relentless river, carrying changes that the human mind takes millions of years to comprehend. We have passed temporary stops on Mars and icy moons, where humanity found shelter while waiting for the inevitable. Tonight, as everything around you sinks into peaceful slumber, we will witness the turning point of the solar system, the moment our mother star truly wakes up with a new, powerful, yet devastating face. Our sun is currently about 4,600,000,000 years old, a middle-aged star in its most stable era. For eons, it has tirelessly fused 600 million tons of hydrogen into helium in its core every second to release the energy that nurtures life. But the hydrogen fuel in its core is not infinite. It is depleting, slowly and irreversibly. In about 5 billion years, this hydrogen will vanish completely, sparking a chain of events that will forever alter the solar system we once knew. When there is no hydrogen left to sustain the outward pressure, the sun's core begins to lose its balance. Gravity, now unopposed, pulls the entire core inward. This contraction generates heat so intense it ignites a thin shell of hydrogen around the depleted core. This new energy pushes outward with terrifying force, causing the sun's outer layers to swell uncontrollably. This is the birth of what astronomers call a red giant. Take a deep breath and try to visualize the scale of this monster. The sun, once a modest disk in Earth's sky, will expand to hundreds, perhaps thousands of times its current size. It will bloat, swallowing the orbit of parched Mercury, then reaching out to consume Venus and its toxic clouds. To an observer, the sun will no longer be a point of light. It will consume half the sky, a fiery sphere dominating the horizon with a menacing glow. The color of the sun will also change in a truly magical way. Instead of the brilliant, warm, white-yellow light we see today, the red giant will glow with a deep crimson hue, almost orange, like a giant ember smoldering in the darkness of space. Although it will be hundreds of times brighter than it is now, its surface temperature will actually be lower, dropping to about 3,000 degrees Celsius compared to today's 5,500. But do not let that relative coolness fool you. That heat is still powerful enough to scorch and vaporize any planet within its reach. This red giant phase will last for about 1 billion years, a span of time long enough to completely rewrite the destiny of the inner planets. Mercury and Venus, our closest neighbors, will simply vanish. They will be swallowed by the sun's outer layers, their matter vaporized and torn apart atom by atom, dissolving into the star's vast atmosphere as if they had never existed. It is a silent yet majestic death for these rocky worlds that have circled the sun for billions of years. As for Earth, its fate remains a subject of debate among scientists. As the sun expands and casts its outer layers into space, its gravitational pull will weaken slightly, allowing the orbits of the remaining planets to drift outward. Earth might be lucky enough to escape being swallowed directly if it can retreat just beyond the reach of the sun's fiery shell. Yet, even if it is not consumed, Earth's existence will be reduced to a lifeless husk. The heat from the red giant will boil away the oceans, strip the atmosphere, and turn the green planet's surface into a roiling ocean of molten lava. The sun's journey during this phase is like a final burst of fury before it retreats into the shadows. It pulses, it erupts, searing streams of gas into the void, creating a scene that is both terrifying and magnificent. If humanity's distant descendants are still watching from space stations far out beyond Neptune, they will see their parent star performing a dance of destruction, a powerful farewell to the system it once created. Witnessing the awakening of the red giant, we feel a deep sadness, but also a profound awe at the laws of the universe. Nothing is eternal. Even the brightest stars must reach their end. But from this collapse, matter is scattered back into space, becoming the seeds for new stars and planets in the distant future. The end of the sun is not the end of everything, but a grand transfer of energy and matter. Chapter 9 closes with the inner solar system turned into a blazing furnace where familiar planets have dissolved into nothingness. We have witnessed the peak power of the red giant, but the story does not stop there. After its fury, the sun will shed its outer layers to enter the final stage of its existence. In the next chapter, we will explore the fate of Mercury and Venus as they vanish completely, and how life, if it still exists, must face a universe that is no longer the same. In the silence of the night, as we have watched the commanding awakening of the red giant together, our journey through time brings us to one of the most tragic moments of the solar system. It is the time when Earth's closest neighbors, two small, resilient rocky planets, must say their final goodbye to existence. Tonight, let your mind drift and listen to the story of how Mercury and Venus fade into the heart of the burning Father Sunday. As the sun enters its red giant phase, its outer layers will swell to monstrous proportions. This is no longer the gentle yellow star we see every morning, but a glowing red giant dominating nearly the entire sky. This expansion knows no bounds. It begins to stretch its arms of scorching gas outward, crossing boundaries that were once empty space. The first victim of this fury is Mercury. Picture Mercury, a tiny, barren world, scarred by countless impact craters. It has always been the planet closest to the sun, forever enduring intense radiation. But in this distant future, that distance is gone. The sun's outer atmosphere will gradually envelop Mercury's orbit. This small planet will be completely submerged within the fiery atmosphere of its parent star. There is no spectacular explosion like in science fiction movies. Mercury's disappearance is silent but absolute. Under temperatures reaching thousands of degrees, even the hardest rocks on its surface begin to melt and vaporize. The entire planet disintegrates, atom by atom, dissolving into the sun's sea of fire. A world that existed for billions of years, holding secrets of the solar system's dawn, is now wiped clean as if it were never there. But the sun will not stop there. The hunger of the red giant drives it to expand even further. The next target is Venus. Venus, often called Earth's twin sister in size, yet carrying a toxic atmosphere and a surface hot as hellfire. Despite its harshness, Venus has been a sturdy entity, with high mountain ranges and vast rocky plains. As the sun's gases reach out, Venus will share Mercury's fate. Its thick clouds of sulfuric acid will be blown away instantly. Then, the planet's surface itself will be heated until it liquefies and boils off entirely into space. Two rocky worlds, Earth's brothers, are simply swallowed by the very star that once gave them form. This event marks a massive loss in our solar system's structure, as the entire inner region becomes nothing but a vast, empty ball of fire. Why is this outcome so certain? Scientists explain that it comes down to changes in density and gravity. When the sun expands into a red giant, it becomes hundreds of times brighter, but the density of its outer layers is extremely low. Yet, that thin gas is enough to create drag on the orbiting planets. This drag causes Mercury and Venus to gradually lose speed. Their orbits shrink, and finally, they spiral down into the sun's fiery maw. There is an interesting detail that mathematical calculations have revealed. As the sun expands and casts its outer layers into space, it is actually losing mass. As the sun's mass decreases, its gravitational pull weakens slightly. This causes the orbits of the remaining planets, like Earth, Mars, and those further out, to drift outward a little. This drifting away might be the final lifeline for Earth. If our planet's orbit widens fast enough, it might escape being directly swallowed by the sun, hovering right at the edge of those scorching gases without falling in. However, as we know, even if it escapes consumption, Earth by then will be nothing more than a dead rock, no oceans, no air, and no trace of life remaining. The image of Mercury and Venus fading away brings us a sense of melancholy and a deep understanding of impermanence. It reminds us that even the greatest planets are merely temporary travelers in the flow of cosmic time. These two planets existed for billions of years, witnessing the rise of humanity from afar, only to end their journey by becoming part of the parent star itself. But in science, nothing is ever truly lost. The atoms of carbon, oxygen, or iron that once built Mercury and Venus have now become part of the red giant's glowing atmosphere. They will accompany the Sun through the final chapters of its life, until they are cast out into space, destined to become the building blocks for new star systems and seeds of life somewhere far away in the galaxy. Chapter 10 closes with the scene of a much emptier solar system, where the inner space now belongs entirely to the brilliant and lonely red giant. We have witnessed the end of our neighbors, but the Sun's story continues. After this phase of extreme expansion, the parent star will begin to shed its cloak, stepping into a completely different state, a form that is tiny, yet incredibly enduring. Let those images of dissolution fade into the void. Now, focus on your gentle breathing. Our Earth is still here. Mercury and Venus are still twinkling in the night sky of our reality. We are living in a special moment of the universe, where everything is still intact and full of life. Cherish the presence of our planetary brothers, cherish the gentle light of the current sun, and let your mind rest in the peace of tonight. The vast universe out there is still operating by its grand laws, and you are a tiny but precious part of it. Relax completely, feel the absolute silence wrapping around you, and prepare for the next discoveries about the Sun's fate when it becomes a white dwarf in the next chapter of this journey. After the intense and dramatic upheavals of the red giant phase, when the Sun has shed its outer layers into space, the universe seems to fall into a strangely quiet state. Tonight, we will witness together the final chapter in the physical form of our mother star. It is the birth of an entity scientists call a white dwarf, a lonely but incredibly enduring remnant, the last trace of a lost golden age. Let your body relax, feel the tranquility of the night, and join me in understanding the silent transformation of the Sun over the next billions of years. The red giant phase ends not with a loud explosion, but with a peaceful shedding of its cloak. The Sun casts its outer layers of gas into the void, creating a brilliant, colorful planetary nebula around itself. And right in the center, its scorching, dense core is revealed. This is the white dwarf, an object only the size of Earth, but carrying a massive weight. It no longer performs nuclear fusion reactions like before. All that remains is the excess heat accumulated from billions of brilliant years. When it first takes shape, the solar white dwarf begins its new life with astonishing brightness. It is so hot that it radiates a brilliant blue-white glow. Though small, it is still powerful enough to illuminate the remaining planets in the system with a cold, faint light. Picture a tiny, yet incredibly blinding point of light in the pitch-black sky. It is no longer the warm father sun, but a ghost of the past, an entity we can only call a stellar spirit. As time drifts by, the white dwarf begins a slow, irreversible cooling process. Year by year, the change is invisible to the naked eye. But if you compare it across centuries or millennia, the difference becomes clear. After 1 billion years, the white dwarf no longer glows blue-white, but gradually shifts to a pale yellow hue. Its brightness fades, and its residual warmth dissolves into the freezing void of space. 10 billion years later, our white dwarf will be nothing more than a faint red dot in the night sky. If you stood on one of the surviving planets, you would have to struggle to find it among the countless other distant stars. Its light is now so weak, it offers no meaningful warmth. The planets circling it are plunged into eternal darkness and cold. This cooling process slows down more and more, approaching total darkness. In theory, one day the white dwarf will lose all its heat and become a black dwarf, a cold, dark object emitting absolutely no light. However, this is a process that takes an unimaginably long time. Scientists estimate it would take quadrillions of years. a number with 15 zeros or more for a white dwarf to truly become a black dwarf. Our current universe is only 13.8 billion years old, still too young for any black dwarf to even conceive of existing. In this era, the universe enters the degenerate stage, where the only sources of light are cooling white dwarfs and dim brown dwarfs. The solar system is now a dark ruin. Yet, even in that decay, the white dwarf can still offer one final benefit to the descendants of humanity, if they choose to stay. Its residual heat, however meager, can still be harvested and converted into electricity to maintain space stations or resource extraction operations. There will be small groups of inhabitants, perhaps scientists, historians, or engineers, choosing to remain in artificial habitats orbiting the white dwarf. They live in massive rotating cylinders to create artificial gravity and maintain closed ecosystems. For them, staying is not about survival, as they could easily migrate to younger stars in the galaxy. They stay for sentiment, for the bond with their origins, where life first bloomed under the light of this star billions of years ago. These observers will track the tiniest changes of the white dwarf over millions of years. They record every fluctuation, every drop in temperature, as a way to honor and accompany their star until the very final moments. For them, the white dwarf is not just a physical remnant. It is a sacred link to Earth's distant past, where their ancestors once walked under a blue sky and breathed natural air. As the white dwarf's light fades, the solar system truly becomes silent. Giant planets like Jupiter and Saturn remain there, quietly orbiting the weak red point of light. They still hold abundant hydrogen, precious fuel for human fusion reactors for billions of years to come. An advanced civilization by then would have completely mastered energy technology, no longer depending on the natural light of any star. Chapter 11 closes in the vast stillness of a solar system, slowly drifting into eternal sleep. We have seen the sun transform from a burning red giant into a tiny, resilient speck of light. It is a soundless ending, a quiet retreat of an old god to make way for newer things in the universe. Though the light may dim, the sun's legacy, the knowledge and consciousness of humanity's descendants, is still shining brilliantly elsewhere in the galaxy. In the immense silence of space, when the solar system is now just a faded memory with a cooling white dwarf, humanity is no longer a species bound by a single planet. Tonight, we will leave the old harbor together to enter the greatest adventure humanity has ever undertaken. The journey across the abyss between the stars to find new homes. This is a story of courage, of wisdom, and of the fierce desire to survive that has driven us to reach the farthest horizons of the Milky Way. If humanity truly survived the turbulent 1 billion year mark on Earth and the outer moons, we certainly did not wait until the sun was fading to act. We would not wait for the situation to become an emergency crisis. Instead, the expansion into space would have begun gradually, long before that. First, unmanned exploration vessels would be sent to scout the path, followed by ships carrying the bravest pioneers. Imagine massive spaceships flying cities amidst the void. Because the distance between stars is so vast, we might use two main methods of travel. The first is generation ships, where many generations of humans are born, grow up, and grow old right on the ship before reaching a new planet. The second is hibernation ships, where residents are placed in biological suspension using deep freeze technology, allowing them to pass through hundreds of years of travel without aging. In the pitch black and absolute silence of space, those ships glide like tiny specks of light, carrying all the hope and legacy of a civilization. The first destination in this interstellar journey is the Alpha Centauri star system, about 4.3 light-years away. This is the closest system to us, a trio of stars dancing in a waltz of gravity. Specifically, the star Proxima Centauri in this system is even slightly closer and possesses a planet with potential for life. The first colonies here will be incredibly small and fragile, where every drop of water, every breath of oxygen depends entirely on survival technology. But over time, across centuries and millennia, these colonies will flourish, become self-sufficient, and begin to reach even further. From those initial faltering steps, humanity begins to hop from star to star. We no longer look for a planet exactly like Earth, but learn to terraform and build habitats around different types of stars. There are worlds orbiting stable red dwarfs for trillions of years. There are floating space cities in binary star systems where two suns shine in the sky. By spreading out to many star systems, we create a network of colonies stretching across the galaxy. By the time the sun truly enters the final stage of its life, around 5 billion years from now, humanity, if we still exist, will likely be scattered across hundreds or thousands of different star systems. We are no longer a species attached to a planet or even a single star system. We have become a galactic species. Our descendants will live under the skies of worlds we cannot currently imagine, orbiting stars that we have not yet even named. Try to imagine a child born in that distant future. To that child, Earth is merely a name in ancient history lessons, a legendary blue planet tucked away in a remote corner of the Milky Way. The sky that child sees might not be blue, but the violet of a red dwarf, or the soft lemon hue of another brilliant star. Gravity on their world might be lighter or heavier, and the air they breathe is the result of a perfectly recycled system. Despite differences in form or home, they still carry within them the blood and wisdom of ancestors from Earth, an invisible bond stretching across billions of light years. Interstellar travel is not just a change in geography, but a shift in mindset. We learn that life does not necessarily have to cling to a single rock. We learn to regard the universe as home, and every star as a hearth warming our eternal journey. The fading of the sun, therefore, is no longer a destructive disaster, but simply the closing of an old chapter to open new, more glorious ones. Humanity has truly matured, having emerged from the cocoon of the parent star system to soar into the vastness of space. Chapter 12 closes with the image of thousands of spaceships spreading out in all directions of the Milky Way. We have found new suns, new hopes, but no matter how far we go, our descendants will always keep a revered place in their hearts for the old solar system, where everything began. In the next chapter, we will explore a stranger aspect: how we can sustain life when no longer relying on the natural light of any star, but harnessing energy from the universe's most mysterious entities, like black holes. Now, let your mind gently drift along with the interstellar ships in your dreams. You are gliding among the stars, peaceful and quiet. No more anxieties of the small world, only the vastness and wonder of the universe soothing your slumber. Breathe evenly, slowly, and feel yourself as part of that magnificent journey. In the quiet space of tonight, as we have passed through great migrations and witnessed the fading of the parent star, perhaps you will wonder, how can life continue when the only natural light source has gone out? We often consider the sun a prerequisite for existence, but for a civilization that has undergone billions of years of evolution, the boundary between the natural and the artificial has become blurred. Tonight, we will discover how humanity's descendants master the darkness, creating energy and life from the deepest depths of the universe, where light has never touched. A civilization that has existed for billions of years will no longer depend on a single star. They have diversified, finding many different ways to generate energy, far exceeding the need for natural sunlight. By that time, nuclear fusion is no longer a distant science fiction technology, but has become as common and reliable as the power grid we use today. Our descendants can build fusion reactors of all sizes, from compact units to colossal complexes that can power an entire artificial planet. The fuel source for these reactors is hydrogen, the most abundant element in the universe. Even when the sun has faded, gas giants like Jupiter or Saturn remain, containing vast reserves of hydrogen. An advanced civilization can harvest hydrogen from Jupiter for billions of years without fear of depletion. They can burn hydrogen, helium, or any light fuel to create eternal heat and light inside space stations. But nuclear energy is just the beginning. Our descendants can also harness more powerful resources, like energy from black holes. There is a theoretical technique called the Penrose process, where humans can extract energy from the rotation of a black hole. By releasing matter into the black hole in a specific way, they can retrieve energy many times greater than the amount put in. This is an extremely efficient method, far beyond any technology we can imagine at present. They might even research fields on the frontier of physics, like quantum vacuum energy or higher dimensions. Once the energy source is solved, the next question is, what will they eat, and how will they live without photosynthesis from sunlight? On Earth today, the entire food chain begins with the sun through plants, but the universe has shown us other methods. Deep in the ocean depths, where light never reaches, there are thriving ecosystems around hydrothermal vents. There, bacteria do not need light. They use chemical energy to build life. Giant tube worms, blind crabs, and strange fish still live well without needing the sunday. Future scientists could build artificial ecosystems based on this principle of chemosynthesis, or more simply, they could synthesize food directly from basic elements like carbon, nitrogen, hydrogen, and oxygen. They will build complex organic molecules, proteins, and starches right in the laboratory. Farming at this point no longer depends on seasons or weather, but takes place in molecular production lines precise down to the single atom. For these descendants, the concept of day and night has also completely changed. In artificial space stations, there is no natural cycle of light. They can set 24-hour cycles if they want to keep the circadian rhythm of their ancestors, or they can customize the length of a day according to work needs and personal preferences, even living in a state of constant, unchanging light. To them, the fact that ancestors were once bound to the rotation of a planet and the cycle of a star is perhaps an incredibly strange and primitive thing. Another interesting thing to consider is the human form itself at that time. After billions of years, humanity may have gone far beyond purely biological limits. We could exist as digital intelligence, or as hybrid entities between machine and biology. These entities would have completely different needs, no longer requiring food or oxygen in the traditional way, but only a stable source of electrical energy to maintain their stream of consciousness. Imagine a life inside a massive space station. Everything is controlled by artificial intelligence. The light is always soft, and the temperature is always perfect. There are no storms, no natural disasters, only eternal peace maintained by advanced technology. Humans, then, are no longer fragile creatures, dependent on nature's bounty, but the complete masters of their living environment. Even without the brilliant light of the sun, life can still be full of meaning and beauty in its own way. It is the beauty of knowledge, of resilience, and endless adaptability. We have proven that consciousness can find its way even in the darkest corners of the universe. Life is not just about absorbing light, but about how we use energy to create meaning and preserve our values through time. Chapter 13 closes with the image of shimmering artificial cities amidst the void, where life is still blooming despite the enveloping darkness. We have learned to live without the sun, learned to create light for ourselves, but in the silence of modern technology, will our descendants' hearts still stir before the memories of a golden sunrise on the earth of old? We will explore their spiritual heritage and nostalgia for their roots in the next chapter. In the absolute silence of tonight, as we have passed through great migrations and learned to survive in the cosmos's shadow, there is something that always smolders in the souls of humanity's descendants. It is not the need for energy or food, but an invisible yet incredibly powerful bond with their origins. Tonight, we will not discuss dry scientific numbers, but will step together into the world of the mind to see how the people of the distant future remember and reminisce about the sun, the parent star that was once our everything. Picture a resident living on a massive space station orbiting a cold white dwarf. This person has never once set foot on soft ground, never seen an azure sky, or felt the true warmth of sunlight on their skin. To them, the sun is just a faint, weak red dot in the inky black sky, bringing neither brilliant light nor significant heat. All the light they have is artificial, constant, and predictable. Yet, in their heritage library, images of the sun from our era are always kept as the most sacred treasure. They will re-watch ancient footage from billions of years ago, seeing the spectacle of the sun rising from the ocean horizon, painting the shimmering water gold. They will see fields of golden rice undulating in the wind under the noon sun, and twilights when the sky turns to dreamy purple and orange. Experiences we take for granted every day are, for them, a luxurious and magical dream. They might use virtual reality technology to simulate ancient Earth, where they can feel the crashing waves, the scent of wild grass after the rain, and the sound of wind whistling through the leaves. But no matter how perfect the technology, it cannot replace the true feeling of natural life. Nỗi nhớ nhung này không chỉ dừng lại ở những hình ảnh thoáng qua, mà còn chạm sâu vào tâm khảm về văn hóa và tinh thần. Suốt hàng triệu năm lịch sử, mặt trời đâu chỉ là một khối cầu rực lửa trên cao. Nó là biểu tượng, là ấn dụ, và với người xưa, nó là một vị thần linh thiêng. Hậu duệ của chúng ta sau này sẽ được nghe kể về thần Ra của người Ai Cập, về thần Inti của người Inca, và những ngôi đền vĩ đại từng được dựng lên chỉ để đón tia nắng đầu tiên của ngày đông chí. Họ sẽ hiểu ra rằng, dù công nghệ hiện đại giúp họ sinh tồn mà chẳng cần ánh sáng tự nhiên, nhưng chính người cha già ấy mới là cội nguồn giúp sự sống nảy mầm, ban tặng trí tuệ để con người chinh phục vũ trụ bao la như hôm nay. Có lẽ họ sẽ cảm thấy một nỗi buồn man mác, một sự hụt hẫng trong tâm hồn khi ngôi sao mẹ dần chìm vào bóng tối vĩnh cửu. Cảm giác ấy giống như khi người cuối cùng nói một ngôn ngữ cổ xưa qua đời, mang theo cả một thế giới quan độc nhất vô nhị vào hư vô. Khi mặt trời tắt hẳn, sợi dây liên kết vật lý cuối cùng với quá khứ xa xăm cũng sẽ đứt đoạn. Thế nên, vào những giây phút cuối cùng, khi sao luôn trắng mờ nhạt nhất, có thể họ sẽ tổ chức những buổi lễ tri ân trang trọng. Những người gìn giữ lịch sử sẽ quây quần bên nhau, cùng ngắm nhìn những hạt ánh sáng cuối cùng, ôn lại chuyện xưa về thời con người còn sống dưới bầu trời xanh và nắng ấm. Họ sẽ dành một phút mặc niệm để tạ ơn người cha vĩ đại đã hoàn thành sứ mệnh sau 10 tỷ năm miệt mài tỏa sáng. Trong nền văn hóa tương lai ấy, chuyện về trái đất và mặt trời sẽ dần hóa thành những huyền thoại về nguồn cội. Người ta sẽ thì thầm cho con cháu nghe về một thiên đường đã mất, nơi dòng nước chảy tự do và cây trái mọc lên từ đất lành chẳng cần nhọc công chăm bón, nơi có một vị thần rực rỡ luôn che chở và ban phước lành. Đó là khu vườn địa đang hoàn hảo mà nhân loại buộc phải rời xa, không phải vì tội lỗi mà vì quy luật nghiệt ngã của thời gian. Khi vị thần ấy già nua và lui tàn, những câu chuyện ấy vừa là liều thuốc ủi yên tâm hồn, vừa là ngọn lửa thôi thúc họ tiếp tục hành trình vạn dặm giữa muôn ngàn vì sao. Bạn có biết điều gì kỳ diệu nhất không? Dù sống cách xa chúng ta hàng tỷ năm ánh sáng và hàng tỷ cây số, nhưng sâu thẳm trong máu thịt và tâm linh, họ vẫn mãi là những đứa con của mặt trời. Từng nguyên tử trong cơ thể họ, từ carbon trong tế bào đến chất sắt trong máu, đều được tôi luyện từ lò lửa của những ngôi sao thế hệ trước, và dòng máu ấy đã từng được mặt trời sưởi ấm trên trái đất này. Nhận thức ấy sẽ tạo nên một sợi dây tình thân kỳ lạ với ngôi sao đang tàn phai kia. Họ nhìn vào sao lùn trắng và không thấy một hòn đá lạnh lẽo, mà thấy một phần máu thịt của chính mình. Một chương hào hùng của lịch sử tiến hóa mà họ đang viết tiếp. Những tri thức, giá trị và những câu chuyện chúng ta vun đắp hôm nay sẽ được truyền lại qua hàng triệu thế hệ mai sau. Dù hình hài họ có thể đổi thay, dù cách sống có thể khác biệt hoàn toàn, nhưng niềm khát khao hiểu biết, lòng trắc ẩn và sự tò mò về vũ trụ vẫn sẽ là sợi chỉ đỏ xuyên suốt nối liền chúng ta với họ. Mặt trời có thể tắt, nhưng ánh sáng của ý thức và trí tuệ mà nó đã thắp lên sẽ chẳng bao giờ lui tàn. Miễn là vũ trụ này còn những trái tim biết rung động và những khối óc biết đặt câu hỏi. Chương 14 khép lại với hình ảnh thế hệ hậu duệ đang đứng giữa lẳng ranh của quá khứ và tương lai. Họ mang trong tim nỗi nhớ về một ánh bình minh rực rỡ mà họ chưa từng tận mắt thấy, nhưng chính nỗi nhớ ấy lại làm cho họ trở nên người hơn bao giờ hết. Họ đã thấu hiểu rằng nhà không chỉ là nơi đôi chân ta đang đứng, mà còn là nơi trái tim ta bắt đầu. Di sản của mặt trời không nằm ở sức nóng hay ánh sáng vật lý, mà nằm ở sự trường tồn bền bỉ của ý thức nhân loại giữa không gian lạnh lẽo bao la. Trong sự tĩnh lặng tuyệt đối của đêm nay, khi chuyến du hành xuyên thời gian đã chạm đến những giới hạn cuối cùng của trí tưởng tượng, chúng ta thấy mình đang đứng trước một vũ trụ hoàn toàn xa lạ. Đây không còn là câu chuyện riêng của mặt trời nữa, mà là chương cuối về số phận của ánh sáng và sự kiên cường của ý thức trong một không gian đang dần nguôi lạnh. Đêm nay, bạn hãy để hơi thở của mình thật chậm, thật đều và cùng tôi bước vào kỷ nguyên mà các nhà khoa học gọi là kỷ nguyên thoái hóa, nơi những ngọn lửa cuối cùng của vũ trụ đang dần lụi tàn. Khi ngôi sao lùn trắng, tàn tích còn lại của mặt trời, tiếp tục nguôi đi trong hàng tỷ năm, nó sẽ tiến tới một trạng thái lý thuyết mà chúng ta gọi là sao lùn đen. Đây là một vật thể đã mất sạch nhiệt lượng, không còn phát ra chút ánh sáng nào, trở nên vô hình và lẩn khuất trong hư không, chỉ còn lại lực hấp dẫn âm thầm. Nhưng bạn biết không, để một sao lùn trắng hóa thành sao lùn đen hoàn toàn, vũ trụ cần một khoảng thời gian dài đến mức không tưởng, lên đến hàng triệu tỷ năm, một con số 1 đi kèm với 15 chữ số không phía sau. Đến lúc đó, vũ trụ mà chúng ta đang sống hiện nay sẽ thay đổi đến mức chẳng thể nhận ra được nữa. Lúc này, vũ trụ chính thức bước vào kỷ nguyên thoái hóa. Các thiên hà đã ngốn sạch khí và bụi để tạo sao mới, khiến quá trình sinh nở của các vì sao hoàn toàn đình trệ. Những đốm sáng duy nhất còn sót lại chỉ là những ngôi sao lùn trắng đang hấp hối và những ngôi sao lùn nâu mờ nhạt. Rồi cuối cùng, ngay cả những tia sáng yếu ớt ấy cũng sẽ tắt lịm, để lại một vũ trụ chìm trong bóng tối đặc quánh, nơi chỉ còn những lỗ đen cô độc trôi dạt giữa những khoảng không gian trống rỗng vĩ đại. Nhưng hãy lắng nghe điều kỳ diệu này. Nếu nhân loại vẫn còn tồn tại khi mặt trời tắt hẳn và vũ trụ chìm vào bóng tối, thì đó quả là một kỳ tích vượt qua mọi quy luật sinh học. Hầu hết các loài sinh vật chúng ta biết chỉ tồn tại vài triệu năm rồi tuyệt chủng. Nhưng ở đây, chúng ta đang nói về một hành trình kéo dài 10 tỷ năm hoặc hơn thế nữa. Điều đó chứng tỏ hậu duệ của chúng ta đã sở hữu một trí tuệ và sức sống mãnh liệt vô song để vượt qua những thử thách khủng khiếp nhất của thời gian. Để chạm tay tới cột mốc vĩ đại ấy, nhân loại đã phải học cách vượt qua sự tự hủy diệt. Họ đã chiến thắng bóng ma của chiến tranh hạt nhân, ngăn chặn sự sụp đổ của hệ sinh thái, kiểm soát được những trí tuệ nhân tạo nổi loạn hay những đại dịch nhân tạo tinh vi. Họ đã học cách sống hòa hợp, không vắt kiệt tài nguyên hay đầu độc ngôi nhà của chính mình. Và quan trọng hơn cả, họ không còn bám víu vào một hành tinh hay một hệ sao duy nhất, bởi họ hiểu rằng những thảm họa như thiên thạch hay sao siêu mới bùng nổ là điều không thể tránh. Bằng cách gieo mầm sự sống khắp các vì sao, họ đã giữ cho ngọn lửa nhân loại luôn cháy sáng trước mọi biến động của vũ trụ. Hành trình đằng đẵng hàng tỷ năm ấy dạy cho chúng ta bài học cuối cùng. Sự sống còn không chỉ là duy trì thể xác, mà là sự trường tồn của ý nghĩa và tri thức trong dòng chảy vô tận của thời gian. Những cái tên riêng lẻ hay những nền văn minh đơn độc sẽ mờ dần như một cái chớp mắt của lịch sử, nhưng tri thức sẽ được truyền thừa từ đời này sang đời khác. Những câu chuyện, những giá trị cốt lõi về việc điều gì làm cho cuộc sống trở nên đáng sống sẽ vẫn còn mãi, ngay cả khi hình hài con người đã đổi thay hoàn toàn. Có một sợi dây vô hình nối liền chúng ta, những con người của hiện tại, với những hậu duệ xa xôi trong tương lai mịt mùng ấy. Đó không phải là sự giống nhau về ngoại hình, mà là sự tiếp nối của dòng máu, của lịch sử và những ký ức chung. Dù họ có sống trong những trạm không gian nhân tạo hay tồn tại dưới dạng năng lượng thuần khiết, họ vẫn mang trong mình ký ức về ngôi nhà nguyên thủy. Họ vẫn sẽ kể cho nhau nghe về một hành tinh xanh biếc với đại dương lấp lánh và một ngôi sao vàng rực rỡ đã từng ôm ấp, nuôi dưỡng tổ tiên mình. Vì thế, sự kết thúc của mặt trời không phải là một bi kịch vô nghĩa. Nếu sự sống mà nó tạo ra vẫn tiếp tục bước tới, tìm thấy những con đường mới để phát triển và khám phá, thì cái chết của mặt trời chẳng hề uổng phí. Di sản của nó sẽ sống mãi theo những cách mà chúng ta hôm nay không thể nào tưởng tượng nổi. Bài học lớn nhất chúng ta gửi gắm cho con cháu qua vực thẳm thời gian là đừng bao giờ phụ thuộc hoàn toàn vào bất kỳ ngôi sao nào, bởi vật chất là hữu hạn. Chỉ có tri thức, sự tò mò và khát khao sáng tạo mới là vĩnh cửu. Khi nhìn lại toàn bộ chặng đường này, chúng ta thấy bừng lên một niềm hy vọng lớn lao, hy vọng về khả năng thích nghi và tiến hóa vô hạn của sự sống, hy vọng rằng di sản của mặt trời chính là sự thức tỉnh của ý thức, sẽ vẫn tỏa sáng, ngay cả khi ngôi sao ấy đã hóa thành một sao lun đen, lạnh lẽo. Mặt trời đã hoàn thành sứ mệnh thiêng liêng nhất, ban tặng sự sống và khơi dậy những tâm trí biết suy tư, biết cảm nhận và biết đặt câu hỏi về vũ trụ này. Đó là một di sản vượt lên trên cái chết của thể xác. Chương 15 khép lại khi ánh sáng của hệ mặt trời đã hoàn toàn tan biến vào bóng tối của kỷ nguyên thoái hóa. Nhưng đâu đó, giữa những vì sao xa xôi, ngọn lửa của ý thức vẫn đang rực cháy. Con người đã trở thành những người thắp đèn cho vũ trụ bằng chính trí tuệ của mình. Chúng ta đã đi một quãng đường thật dài, từ những sinh vật nhỏ bé ngước nhìn lên bầu trời đầy sao, cho đến khi trở thành cư dân của chính những vì sao ấy. Hành trình của chúng ta, xuyên qua hàng tỷ năm tương lai, cuối cùng cũng quay trở về với thực tại, tĩnh lặng đêm nay. Chúng ta đã cùng nhau chứng kiến đời người của mặt trời, từ thời thanh xuân rực rỡ đến khi hóa thành gã khổng lồ đỏ đầy uy quyền, và cuối cùng lùi vào bóng tối trong hình hài sao lun trắng lặng lẽ. Chúng ta đã thấy cách nhân loại, với sức mạnh của ý chí và tri thức, vươn mình ra khỏi chiếc kén chật hẹp của hệ mặt trời, để thắp sáng những chân trời mới giữa dải ngân hà bao la. Tonight, as you prepare to close your eyes and drift into slumber, I'd like to invite you to think about our sun one more time. Don't think about how it will fade away one day in a future so distant that numbers lose their meaning. Instead, think of it as it is right now, a star in its absolute prime, tirelessly sending us its warm, dependable golden rays every single day. We are living in a truly special and privileged moment in cosmic history. This is the time when the sun is at its zenith, breathing life into deep blue oceans, lush green forests, and brilliant cities. We have clear blue skies, cool air to breathe, and the gentle home of Earth to shelter us. It is a magnificent gift that we should never, ever take for granted. Perhaps the deepest lesson this journey leaves us with is the meaning of existence itself. A star's true legacy isn't found in how long it shines, but in what it creates and nurtures during its life. The sun will shine for a total of more than 10 billion years before it fades completely. For the vast majority of that time, it has devoted itself to nurturing life, and most importantly, it created the conditions for the birth of consciousness minds that can think, feel, create, and question their very place in the universe. If some part of us, or the descendants who carry our blood and knowledge, can continue to walk forward when the sun has gone dark, then that mother star will have fulfilled its highest mission. The sun's legacy will live on in every step humanity takes on distant planets, in every new idea, and in every soul that knows how to love the beauty of the cosmos. Even if our solar system one day falls into darkness, the universe will never truly lose its light, as long as there are awakened minds left to contemplate it, because the light of understanding and consciousness is just as real and just as brilliant as any star burning in the sky above. Now, let all your worries and thoughts about the distant future drift away with each gentle breath you take. You have taken a great voyage, And now it is time for your body and mind to rest completely. Feel the softness of your bed, the stillness of the space around you, and the warmth that still lingers from the day's sunlight. Thank you for accompanying Knowledge Before Sleep on this journey spanning billions of years. I hope these stories of the stars have brought you peace and beautiful dreams. The sun is still there right now, protecting you, waiting to welcome you into a new dawn filled with hope. I wish you a sleep that is deep, peaceful, and filled with the warmth of love. Good night, and I will see you again on our next journey through the vastness of the universe.